Hi, and thanks for joining me. I'm Gregory, and this is 1 in 20 D&D. Tonight, I'm doing a Session 0 recap, and what is a Session 0 anyway, for a new adventure group that I am joining, and we are adventuring in the VÄRLDEN Reach. It is a world created by our DM, the Bearded Bugbear. Now, here's how I found out about this game, and it was really kind of interesting. I am on Twitter. I'm connected with all kinds of people playing D&D. You might knew this already. This might be how you found me in the first place. D&D, Open Legend, RPG, and Car Wars, and all kinds of other such stuff. Now, I saw a post from the Bearded Bugbear or from someone else retweeting his post that said, "Hey, I'm looking for new players. Go ahead and apply." I thought, oh, let me check this out. So I took a look at the website, read up a little bit about the background and the premise of the game, and I thought, wow, this sounds fantastic. Let me go ahead and apply. I was looking for a new game session to start with as a player, so I thought this might be it. I did apply. He thought, hey, this guy sounds pretty good, I guess. So he contacted me. So we just had a little voice chat online and got a chance to kind of meet each other, talk to each other, and he could kind of interview me about, like, what am I like really when I'm talking to him, and what do I expect, and here's what his game style is like, and does that make sense, and is that a good match, and all sorts of great things. So we went through this quick interview. Each of the players actually did that, except for he has a few players that have been in another session or other sessions of his. They've been playing the Lost Mines of Phandelver, and so those people he already is familiar with. He knows them. So these were just the filler spots. He was trying to fill out a party of 6. So I was one of those people that got accepted. So that was how I found out about it. This Session 0 was a chance for those of us that didn't know each other to kind of meet and greet each other, and also for the Bearded Bugbear to lay down kind of the groundwork and the framework of what we're going to do and what he expects and so forth. We discussed a social contract that we had already all been we had a chance to view beforehand, and we all had to agree to before we even started this process of our Session 0 and even creating characters. And that was kind of the first thing we talked about. I was like, hey, anything about the social contract, which I think everyone should do for their games. It's a great thing to do. We are all adults, so we have to have a little bit of understanding that, like, hey, let's respect each other's time. Let's respect each other as individuals and human beings. Let's not be, hurtful or hateful or any of that kind of goofiness. There's no room for that in a good RPG session. Most people know that, but it's good to just like really set it down and agree to it ahead of time. And that's what we did, and I think that's fantastic. I'm really excited about that. That's a great way to start things off. So we talked about that. He discussed a little bit about his game style, his personal kind of like play style, and what he's going to create for us in his world and what he expects of us. Things that I think are fantastic, such as like, don't ask me, can I roll an insight check? Ask me things like, do I think this person is lying to me? What kind of a feeling am I getting from this NPC? We can ask those questions in character, and then he might ask us to make the roll. That I think is fantastic. Some DMs are fine with you saying, hey, can I make a perception check to look for traps? Yeah, that's fine. Other DMs, this is what we want, or what our DM wants in this session, I should say, and I totally agree with it. This is what I like too, and that's just my personal preference. But hey, I'm looking for traps on the floor, walls, and ceiling. Okay, good. Let's look everywhere. I'm gonna go in and do I see any traps on the floor? Okay, that's a lot different, right? So setting those tones of how we're gonna play the game, fantastic. That means if you say you're gonna look at the floor, that's what you're looking for. Doesn't mean you're looking at the floor, the ceiling, the desk, etc., etc. If you say you're going to look at the desk, that's what you're looking at. So this was really great to discuss ahead of time. I think it's fantastic. Those are one of the types of things that we talked about. So that's a little bit about game style, which is fun and good to know ahead of time. Part of what we discussed with game style is that, hey, this is going to be a heroic fantasy game, okay? And we are the party members. The reason we're even adventuring together is because we're a part of what's called the Vaktari. I believe that's right. It's Vaktari. I'm sorry, I'm probably mangling it. I'll get it right and make sure it's corrected in the future, but for now, let's just bear with me. We're kind of an elite fighting group we're protectors of the realm, if you will. And that's part of the impetus for us to be heroic in the first place. You know, we're protectors. We're supposed to defend the realms. That we've all taken our characters rather have all taken the kind of oath that this is what we're going to do, and it gives us a reason to be together as a party. Now we may have joined individually, but now our superiors have said, okay, you, and you 6, you're going to be a unit, and I need you to go on this mission, and that's going to be our session 1. Fantastic idea. It's a real simple, wonderful way to put a party together and give them a reason to be together. And that's all out of the way. So in session 1, we can just get right into our first mission, which I'm super stoked about. And I think it's a brilliant idea. So we talked about some game style stuff, some of the little bit of the background of where the characters and players are coming together. We didn't really discuss anything about our specific characters, and that was fantastic. That's all going to start coming out in session 1 and from there forward. We did talk about our starting equipment, and the reason we did that is because we're actually starting, this is a D&D 5e campaign. We are starting out at 5th level. Like I mentioned, some of the players are coming from Lost Mines of Phandelver, and their characters are sort of being transposed over into this new world, but they're still going to start at 5th levels because they've had some experience already and want to use essentially the same characters. So for me, creating a new character, I'm starting out 5th level, so we rolled for our starting equipment. That was really helpful. Another thing we did, a starting goal, I should say, and another thing we rolled for, which was a lot of fun, is it was for a trinket. Which is out of the player's handbook. You probably are familiar with that. There's a chart, you roll a D100 and you get some wild random trinket. And this is fun because now our DM has something to use in the game. And he's actually going to give us a little more like specifics about the trinket we rolled for and what it means to us. And he's going to find a way down the road at some point in his game now that he can use this to kind of use it as a hook or use it as a storyline or just something to throw in a little flavor in the game. Really smart idea, real fun, and it's neat to roll because those things are kind of funny. Somebody got the bone of a dragon claw, on a leather necklace was one of the items, which I think is kind of neat. And there's all kinds of, each of us got one, so that was fun. We did that. And I think that pretty much is it. Oh, we did get a few bits of starting equipment because we're members of this this kind of protectorate, and that is that we each got a greater healing potion, which I think is awesome. That's a great way to start, especially at 5th level. That way we can probably deal with some harder NPCs and monsters and so forth without feeling the pressure quite as much. And we each got an amulet of the Voctare, which gives us sort of like a it's kind of like a rank of our station, so to speak, or our insignia, our coat of arms, if you will, or heraldry. So it kind of it says who we are. It shows who we are. Now, sometimes we want to display that, like, hey, we're here on official business. Other times we might be like, oh, God, I hope nobody sees that. So that'll be kind of fun to role play out as well. So that was issued to us. And we also, one of our members was issued a bag of holding for the group, which is fantastic because, man, does that mean we can put in some extra equipment and items for the road and that sort of stuff, and then also any treasure we happen to find. Of course, we have a place to handle it instead of dealing with encumbrance and that kind of stuff. So really smart, really fun. I'm super stoked about that. And it was just a great opportunity. It was a really fun time to kind of like start to get a little bit of a feel for the other players, start to learn people's voices, and start associating them with names, because we're doing this all virtually. We're not sitting at an actual table face to face, so it's a little bit easier to start getting the sense of who's who. We're also not using video, so it's just going to be voices, and our tokens we're playing through Roll20, so it'll just be the voices and the tokens and names. So it was a really great opportunity to sort of start learning that stuff ahead of time and get a sense of each other. I think it was fantastic. I highly recommend you doing it if you're going to start a game for yourself. Yeah, I think I kind of covered everything in a nutshell. It was a great session 0. It was fun to talk to everybody and meet everybody. I loved being able to get a better sense of what to expect. I loved an opportunity to share my own, again, part of our respect thing. This kind of ties back to the social contract, is like, we're humans, we're adults. Let's respect each other's time, and let's also, share anything above board beforehand before it becomes an issue. If you have issues with each other, let's talk about it. Let's deal with that. We can talk to the DM, we can talk to the other players. That was discussed. Another thing is for myself. This is my personal thing. I let everyone know that, hey, I've got a 3-year-old son. Sometimes during a game, he might be, if I'm watching him because his mom's at work, which will happen every other week. I let him know. I said, hey, every other week, my wife's going to be working. I got to take care of our son. He'll be asleep before the game starts, but he might wake up. He's only 3.5, so he might wake up. So I got to take care of him. I just want to let everybody know. And if you guys see me rip away from the, hear me bolt away from the computer during the game, that's what happened, and I'll be right back. So just letting everybody know ahead of time, now that, that's the mutual respect of letting each other know. Do I expect that to happen? No, he's a great kid. He's easy to deal with, luckily for me. And, but that's the kind of thing as adults we want to do, and be respectful of each other at a table, or whether it's virtual or real table. Let people know ahead of time. Hey, I've been sick. My throat's messing me up tonight. I'm not going to talk as much tonight. Okay, cool. Oh gosh, something huge came up next week. I'm going to have to miss the session. Let them know ahead of time. It's not like this is what the DM said. It was great example. We don't want to be every session like it's 20 minutes into the session and, hey, where's Joe? Or whoever. Where's so and so? Why isn't he here again? Now that kind of thing stinks. So those are things we discussed. This was a great opportunity. I totally recommend it. If you haven't done it, think about doing it for your future games. It's just such a great idea. We will, next week, when I do my session 1 recap, I'll try to get in some of the players' backgrounds and that kind of thing, and a little bit of what I've discovered and figured out from the other players, as well as my own perceptions through my character. I may even do my character voice while I'm doing the recap. We'll see. I've created sort of a voice for this character that I'm very excited about using in game. And I think that pretty much covers it. I want to wrap this up by saying, hey, thanks for joining me. I appreciate every time when you stop in. Do me a favor. Leave some comments. Leave some likes, of course. Hugely help. Subscribe if you haven't already. But the comments are fantastic. Feedback, that kind of stuff. It really helps me. I hope you'll tune in for these recaps to see how this adventure goes. We will record the sessions, and they may be available on YouTube in the future. But we're going to record them more for our own benefit to review what happened during the game. So I wanted to put these recaps out there, A, for myself, for my channel, but also B, for, the other players. All right. I think it'll help. We're going to have a written recap too, which we're going to share with each other. One of the other players is a fantastic writer. She's going to be doing that for us. So between the combination of those and maybe someone else taking over every now and then and doing a recap by hand as well, I think it's going to be fun. I'm really, really excited about this. I can't wait to share it with you guys. I'm super stoked about next week. Stay tuned. I've got a couple other videos in the works. I've got our last session of Open Legend is being edited. I'll have that out as soon as possible. I've also got my Monday night sessions. We're starting a new campaign for our D&D game on Monday night. So I have 2 new campaigns starting in January. Woohoo! Lucky me. All right, you guys. Hey, so that's the quick recap. Thank you for stopping in. I really appreciate you all stopping in. I just can't thank you enough. And in the meantime, stay tuned. Keep coming in. Enjoy the ones and keep rolling 20s.